This is a CineD Gear News video, supported by B&H and CVP.
Hi guys, I'm Johnnie from CineD and I'm here with Victor from Fujifilm. Victor, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm fine, and I'm very thankful that you're giving CineD an exclusive look at the new X-H2S.
Yep. Yeah, I'm really excited that you're here too, and it's honestly really exciting for us to be able to talk about this camera.
Let's try to catch up and see what is new. You've been working on this camera for almost 2 years now.
Yeah, I think so. That's a safe estimate. You know, probably a little bit longer, depending upon when we started discussing what would come with this model. And I think for us here at Fujifilm, the consensus is that this is a camera that, for motion production professionals who are in short narrative, in documentary, in commercial video, I would say with production budgets $5 million and below, this camera is really something that they could really take benefit by taking a look at. You know, a lot of times on production budgets that don't have enough budget to extend camera for longer than a number of days or a number of weeks, they still got to have enough budget to put the rest of the production up too. And having a camera like X-H2S is really going to allow them to put their production to a place where they can stretch the budget and do something really fantastic.
But the decision was still to keep the mirrorless body X-T4 likewise. Why?
Well, I think we have a really great reputation of ergonomics, and X-H2S is on the X-H platform. And we know our audience really loved how the camera felt in their hand. You know, they loved the familiarity of the front command dial and the back command dial. It still has the DNA of a Fujifilm because we do have our dials, you know, classic dials up top and everything. But I think putting this camera together as an X-H2S model really made a lot of sense, especially as we started to think about some of the specific applications that it could be used in. I think the platform itself still lends itself to being very flexible.
Okay, so let's see how far you're actually trying to divide this new camera from the XT line. Because at the end, the XT4, and I'm a proud owner of XT4, and I really love it, and I use it a lot for assortment of productions. And we will talk in a second if it even makes sense to upgrade.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But before, how did you define this? This is of course also a stills camera.
That's correct.
But what are the main features that you put into the camera when it comes to filmmaking? So
this camera, for motion production, is really amazing in 3 ways. The first is that it records ProRes 422 10-bit internal, and it does it in HQ, LT, and 422. So I think that that alone puts it in the general vicinity of, oh my God, I don't have transcode footage anymore. The amount of time anyone spends transcoding footage is astounding, especially for small, short productions. You know, smaller crew productions, it takes so much time, and time is money for those production crews. And the second thing is that it also records 6.2K in 2x3 open gate. So for the applications and creativity of like individuals who want to use anamorphic lenses, right? They're at the doorstep of it now. Okay, and in our body, I think that's really something that we haven't really gotten a chance to really explore with in some of our other camera bodies. And I think that the ability of being open gate at 6.2 is going to really open up some creative doors for some people. And you know, the tie for third for me is one of 2 different things. I'm going to start by saying the autofocus, because the autofocus on this camera has been upgraded exceedingly well because of the fact that it has a stacked BSI sensor. It also has a new processor inside of it. But what it also does is it allows us to track people and things, so trains and planes and cars and birds and stuff. So the algorithm inside of the camera is exceedingly advanced and allows us to track moving objects with increasing accuracy. If I had to do like a 3B, it would be that the camera can record 2 types of RAW externally through the HDMI. The first way is ProRes RAW through HDMI, and then the second way is Blackmagic RAW through the HDMI.
You know what I liked? You said the camera can record 2 types of RAW, and then you took a little pause externally. Why didn't you manage to do internal RAW recording? That's a political thing or technical thing?
You know, I think that The answer to that question is probably hidden somewhere in the DNA of the camera. The engineers, when they make a camera, they make decisions that will determine its viability for a variety of different applications. So I wasn't really brought into the room on that decision, but based upon the performance that we're getting on the decisions they've made, they did an incredible job making those decisions.
Why didn't you choose 8K? And personally, 6K is a really sweet spot. Mm-hmm. But the question is, when we look a bit forward and the competition from other companies is rather stiff, mm-hmm. why was the decision to go up to 6K or 6.2?
Well, I think this camera's position is that it's a motion camera, whether it be if the subject is moving or if the image is moving. When we announce this camera, it will be paired with a tagline that will be life and movement. And to think about that phrase with respect to the camera, for photographers, being able to make an image and freeze your subject, it's always difficult to do sometimes, right? But this camera makes it easier. It can track at 40 frames a second, and it can make images in electronic shutter at 40 frames a second. It can really allow photographers to get the moment they want most when they're doing sports, when they're following birds, when they're following action. For filmmakers, I think that you're right. 6.2K is a great sweet spot, and it's a great sweet spot for us to have the autofocus performance that we want, paired with the resolutions that we want and the frame rates that we want. So we get 4K at 120, we get HD at 240, we get 6.2K at 30. And I think that when people pick up this camera, they're going to see that the performance and the handling, the responsiveness. It's funny, we've been showing this camera in our closed door meetings, and the first thing everyone says is, "Wow, the menus, they're really good. They move quick." It's so the idea that other cameras, when we're moving through menus, are not as responsive, that's a good indication for us that we need to make sure this camera specifically has to have enough horsepower to not just operate menus, but really allow you to get the most out of the camera.
How do you deal with overheating? Because at the end of the day, the body is very similar mm-hmm. to the previous model, mm-hmm. and there is no active cooling here. Mm-hmm. So how do you combat this?
So I think that heating is an issue only when the camera is being pushed to its max. If it's going to be recording longer clip lengths at 4K 120 or 6.2K 30, it's going to probably need some help, and it really depends on the environment. It depends on the external heat, right? So we kind of know that. There's a lot of external factors that affect this. So on the back of the camera, you can pull off a little plug that's there, and then you can actually fit it into this fan so you don't lose it, right? So you kind of just pop it in there. And then once you do that, there's a set of pins. And these pins actually move here into that space, and then you just go ahead and screw it in. And what it does is it turns on. You operate the controls through the body, through the camera body, and it is a patented design that allows us to vet heat off of the camera body when you're pushing it to its limits.
So it's a portable fan.
Portable fan.
Portable air condition.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice. I mean, it's a different solution.
Right.
It's actually a solution that we haven't seen before. Mm-hmm. And will this come together with the body, or this is an extra?
It won't come kitted with the body. It's an external accessory. So I think it's right around the $200 mark.
Okay, so guys, if you want to push that camera to the borders, mm-hmm.
You
probably have to consider where to do it and how to do it. I mean, we have to be open about this.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Again, that will be something to test and see just in a normal usage how the camera behaves.
Yeah, we've had this camera on set in a number of different environments where it's been outdoors all day. Even without the fan, it was fine, right? And that was recording 4K 60, 4K 30, and we'd have clip lengths of like 25 minutes because the takes were very long, We've put it outdoors in the open sunlight and just let it roll, and it would roll for 45 minutes, 80 minutes before we get a temperature warning.
You also included a new flat picture profile.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about why did you actually change, or why did you add? It's not really changing; it's adding another picture profile.
So in our previous cameras, the processing capabilities of the sensor and the processor didn't facilitate the ability to have another standard flat picture profile. With this camera, because it's got a faster processor and a faster sensor readout, it's allowing us to create a second flat picture profile we call F-Log2 that will extend the dynamic range up to 14 stops. It's got 14-bit processing, and because we're processing noise and signal on in different ways, it really allows us to extend the dynamic range but keep the noise profile very minimal, even at a base ISO of 1250.
The 1250 is for both picture profiles right now?
F-Log regular, F-Log1 is 640, and F-Log2 is 1250.
And when you talk about 14-bit, it's processing or it's also recording?
It's processing that. It's recording at 10-bit.
Obviously, we will test the dynamic range in our lab test, and we will share it with our audience. So the only reason that you decided to add another picture profile is mostly because the camera is capable of doing it. But it's not that you decided that your original flat picture profile is not good enough, I hope.
Oh, no. I think our flat picture profile, our F-Log, is probably one of the unsung heroes of moving image productions, because anytime I've brought up F-Log, anyone's like, I just wish I could get that log in my other cameras that aren't Fujifilm. Because even straight out of the camera, our colors and our skin tones are so wonderful, right? We have F-Log2 because we can process a higher bit rate and provide more dynamic range to our users. And when you provide more dynamic range, what that does is extends creativity. I think our goal as an image-making company is to put tools in the hands of individuals so that they can be more creative, and I think that does it for sure.
The Eternal picture profile is still there?
Yeah, the Eternal picture profile is still there, and the LUT is available for it.
Any other new picture profiles for creators?
So yes, we do have a film simulation coming. It's too early in the process right now for me to actually even name it, but being a month before the launch, I'm hoping that we will have a name on it soon.
How about audio? Are you treating audio the same way that you treat audio with X-T4 and the previous model of the X-H?
Yes, we're still early on in the process, so we haven't done our testing here in the US on it, but we're saying that it's pretty much the same performance as X-T4. The ports are on the body, and it will be available and compatible with the Tascam device.
How about battery life? It might be consuming power quite fast, and you're still using the same batteries as the X-T4. Do you have any additional powering solutions for the camera?
So natively with one battery, the camera can run at 4K 24 frames for about an hour, continuous, before it needs to be swapped out. We also have other powering solutions as well. We have a battery grip that will extend that with portable batteries, our standard batteries. We have USB-C as an option. And then also, we're working with Wooden Camera, and that's why you're seeing this cage on the camera now. Wooden Camera has been an incredible partner in this pre-launch process. We've sent over drawings to them, and they've really helped us create a custom cage that fits this camera that's going to be available for the time of launch. And they've also developed a pigtail that will work as well in the camera, in addition to a stainless steel X series to PL mount adapter. It's coming from Creative Solutions, and the design, the look and feel, the finish, the fit, it really brings out the fact that this camera is ready for prime time.
I want to go back to and talk about specifications, because you mentioned the 6.2K. That will be in what flavor? Only H.265 or H.264, but obviously no ProRes.
It'll be available in ProRes.
Also in ProRes?
Yes, also in ProRes. And when we record a ProRes file in 6K and in 4K, we do get a proxy. We get a low-res proxy. That low-res proxy is saved to the same card, so it would be the CFast card, and it will be saved into a separate folder. So if you're on set and you need to look at dailies, you will have a low-res HD version to pull from, and we're hoping that that opens up other opportunities as well.
How about open gate recording? Can you actually de-squeeze in the camera, or you have to use an external monitor for that?
At the current moment, we can't do a de-squeeze in the camera, but it's definitely on the roadmap, and it's definitely something we're evaluating.
Good. Victor, anything that I forgot? Because this is really kind of preliminary information for me, and I'm sure that you know more at that stage about the camera than me. By the way, one more thing before I forget. How about the EVF? Because the EVF of the X-T4 was okay, but there was some room for improvements, especially with the focus itself of the EVF.
Right. So In this camera, because it's our newest camera, it's our flagship, it will have a 5.69 million dot EVF, so it's very high resolution. The refresh rate on it is much faster, and it's newer as well, so the components will allow for more clarity, more faster focus, and the diopter is still the same range as X-T4, but I think you're going to find it, because it's 5.69 million dots, it's going to be a lot more crisp and sharp for you.
Nice. How about pricing? Because I think this is one of the biggest surprise for me, is how much you are determined to actually go into the market as strong as you can. Tell me about the pricing, please.
We're going to announce the camera at a price of $2,499 US.
How about trading the camera? If I'm an X-T4 owner and I would like to move forward with a new camera, will you consider offering something for existing customers?
It's actually something we consider a whole lot, and we're still looking into the details of it. But hopefully in regional markets, there's going to be options for anyone who's a current owner to look at this camera and really step into it.
Will the camera be sold body only or with a kit or new lenses?
It's going to be sold body only because we feel that individuals who pick up a professional level body will want to pick and choose their lenses as well. Also, at the time of announcement, we're going to have a new lens. It's our 18-120 PZ lens, and it's a power zoom lens. It's the first collaboration between us on the digital camera and lens side with our broadcast cinema side. And the broadcast cinema team, what they've done is they've taken the engineering of their zoom and zoom rocker and put it on the back side of the lens, so that it actually allows us to control the mechanical zoom of the lens as well as the focus of the lens. It's actually really, really exciting.
It's not a kit lens, but it's a new lens that covers quite a lot of range, but not that fast. Obviously, if you wanted to do it faster, you would have to grow in size, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's an f4 constant throughout the zoom range, and in terms of the zoom speed, we can set the zoom speed to a certain rate. We can set the range of the zoom as well, and if you hit that button here, you could actually change the focus point and the speed of the focus. We can still do it manually via the rings, though.
Is it parfocal?
It is parfocal.
And how much this zoom lens will cost?
$899 US.
How about focus breathing?
It's minimal focus breathing. It's designed by our broadcast and cinema team, who design some of the best optics in the world, so that's a big priority for them.
Victor, thank you very much. I'm really excited to put my hands on the camera and test it. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.